What's going on, everybody? I hope you all had a good weekend. Hopefully, some good Overwatch games over the weekend. Notoriously for me, I always find the weekend games to be a little hit and miss and more miss than hit. I thought I'd do something a little different for this video. And I thought I would try to rank. I'm only going to rank the support heroes in this video, mainly because that's all I really VOD review these days are the support characters. And I thought for anybody that might be interested, they could comment and maybe spark up a little debate on what they think of my opinions and what I have to say for where all of the support heroes rank between S and D. So S would be like the superior tier, and then after that, it just kind of goes to a grading system of A, B, C, and D. So, in no particular order, we're just going to start with Lucio. So, Lucio, typically he benefits, speeding people around when the team is playing a little on the closer together side. If you've got a team that benefits being sped around, people being booped off the map, heroes or players that are kind of playing closer together, Lucio can be very powerful. However, if you've got a lot of players that are just kind of going all over the place, maybe playing distance characters, like snipers and stuff like that, he can be a little on the weaker side. I've seen some more of the popular streamers put Lucio in the S tier, and I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't had a lot of luck playing Lucio with Doomfist. I've been trying it this weekend now that I'm kind of feeling better from COVID and like all of my symptoms are kind of gone, because I was dealing with a bout of fatigue like for a solid like week and a half after I kind of got over being sick. But so like this weekend I've been going pretty hard like with a grind session with Overwatch, and yeah, my experience with Lucio with Doomfist has been a little bit more miss than hit. I've won and lost games doing Lucio with Doomfist, but it's been a little bit of a learning curve for me getting Lucio to work with a Doomfist. So with that said, I'm gonna put Lucio in the A tier. I've seen him in the S tier for a lot of popular streamers. ML7 will be the one I'll name drop, but I don't think he's an S tier, but I think he can still be very viable and very good, but I don't necessarily put him in the top class. So next is Kiriko, and Kiriko, that's another one that I see getting played quite a bit. Now, here's the issue I take with Kiriko. I've seen quite a bit Kiriko's that heal bot, but they are not doing damage. And I don't get why people are playing Kiriko like that. Like, a huge part of Kiriko's kit is doing damage. So for the people that are dealing damage with Kiriko, the other thing that is a huge part of Kiriko's kit that I've noticed people playing into that maybe shouldn't be Kiriko when they are, is if the enemy team isn't really running anything for you to be cleansing, then I find her E ability to be kind of useless. So because Roadhog is a pretty top tier meta tank, having Kiriko in your kit of heroes to play is pretty important. Because if your team starts running a Roadhog and the enemy team goes Ana to counter it, the Roadhog is really gonna benefit from having a Kiriko. So I put her in the A class as well. She's vital to climbing in Overwatch 2, in my opinion. But you have to play her the right way. You can't heal bot with her. You gotta be able to land some damage. Which segues into the next hero that I oftentimes will suggest people play, when they fit the model I just got done explaining, where they're heal botting, they're not doing much damage, there's not much to be cleansing on the team, then I suggest playing Mercy. Because at that point, the res becomes way more valuable than what Kiriko can supply. So, the other reason is because I still find Sojourn to be very top tier. She got nerfed, but not nerfed into oblivion. And if she's being mercy pocketed, Sojourn is still as strong as ever. I mean, maybe not as strong as ever, but she's only been brought down like a half a peg or something. And with the mercy pocket, she's right there. So I put Mercy in the A tier as well. Now, with Moira, on the other hand, it kind of depends what rank we're talking about, but, like in the lower tiers, I've seen a lot of people Moira DPSing and they get away with it. And then I've seen Moira's in upper tier games try to do it and it does not work out. In lower tiers, Moira can be S. But once you start getting into, I would probably say mid to upper tier gold, she starts to drop off. And I would put her B tier. She can be viable. She can be good. But I'm not a big fan of her kit once you start climbing the ranks. So the kind of heroes I would like to see played with the Moira are oftentimes the DPS that can't really protect themselves from the incoming damage. And the less divey tanks too. So for example, Ramatra is going to be one of them. Junker Queen can be another one. Orisa can be a good one. Sometimes Roadhog, if with a Kiriko, so that he's not being anti, then Moira can definitely be a good tank or a good support to go with that tank as well. With Doomfist, she can be good, but it kind of depends on the map, because like you got to be able to kind of stay with the Doomfist, because you kind of got a shorter range healing spectrum to go with, along with depending on if you can kind of bounce the healing orbs around, and so like King of the Hill maps, that kind of a thing. Zarya is another great. Actually, Zarya is probably the ideal tank to be matching with a Moira, frankly. But yeah, I put Moira in the B tier. So speaking of Doomfist, though, I don't have Baptiste lined up here. I thought I was missing a support. Anyway, so speaking of Doomfist, though, I think that puts Brigitte in an interesting situation, and I find that I want to do a little bit more testing on this theory, but the few games I got to do Brig against Doomfist, I put out a lot of healing, and I was actually pretty surprised at how much healing Brig was throwing out. So, if you're going up against a Doomfist or a Hammond or really any kind of heavy dive, and you're good at landing whip shots, it's pretty surprising how much healing Brigitte throws out. And I would welcome all of you to find a game where you're getting dived pretty hard by tanks and DPS, and try out Brig and see how you do. Don't frontline with her. You got to kind of play more in the mid section, and be willing to peel for your main support. Kind of bodyguard an Ana, bodyguard a BAP, bodyguard the payload, that kind of a thing. But if you do that, it's pretty surprising. And then you just throw the armor packs out to the longer range heroes that are maybe diving the enemy supports and that kind of a thing. But yeah, I actually like Brig quite a bit in this current meta. The other thing I wanted to point out, and I was specifically trying to bring up Doomfist in this, is that when Doomfist does his block, you're technically not really supposed to hit him because that charges up his punch. So if you don't know that, that's a thing. The one exception to that goes to Brig. If you hit a blocking Doomfist, you initiate her healing, her aura healing. Now I'm not necessarily suggesting you just wail away on the Doomfist, although maybe in a certain circumstance, maybe you just get away with it anyway. But if you land a whip shot, or if he's kind of close to you and he goes into his block and you whack him a couple times with the mace, your team's going to get some healing off of that along with you. So, and then the other thing is when he charges up for a punch, if you shield bash him, he gets stunned and knocked down. And that can be a great way to kind of regulate a Doomfist into being very susceptible to a lot of incoming damage if your team's paying attention. So I think Brig goes into the B tier. Like I said, I really like her in this current meta, and I think she can definitely, I think she's very underrated. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard or not, but apparently Blizzard's talking about reworking her ultimate, because her ultimate is a little on the weak side. It's not the worst ultimate in the world, but it is a little weak. I have not heard anything on what that new ultimate will be, so I'll be interested to see what exactly they're going to do with that. But be on the lookout for a new Brig ultimate in the near future. Apparently it has something to do with programming new animations and stuff like that. So I guess once they get that done, we're getting a new Brig ultimate. So yeah, that's kind of could be exciting. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see what it actually is. Hopefully they just don't send another nerf to Brig, because she has been nerfed quite a bit. So that brings us to Zen, and Zen is, in my opinion, one of the worst heroes in the game right now. And the reason I say that is because this is such a high mobility meta right now, and there's so many heroes, tank and DPS, that just have such high mobility that Zen just feels very weak. When I see a Zen on the enemy team, I can dive bomb him as Lucio, and I normally pick him off almost every time. And if I'm not the one doing it, it's because a tank or a DPS gets the killing blow on him, or something like that. But yeah, I find Zen to be in a really weak spot. Now, you can probably pull it off if the enemy team's running something not very meta, very kind of like a very slow team. Say, for example, maybe like a Reinhardt that doesn't have a Lucio speed boost or something like that. I could see Zen being decent against a Ramatra team. Maybe Zarya, maybe Orisa, maybe Sigma. But honestly, though, a lot of that's going to just depend on what the DPS are throwing out. I tried Zen a few times over the weekend. I got raged at by teams consistently when I picked Zen. I had kind of mixed results when I played him. I was getting some cheeky picks, like when I was like charging up some shots around corners and things like that. I would pick off like a DPS, like an unlucky one that just turned the corner and boom, he got hit in the head a couple times by a charged Zen shot. I did dive bomb a Zen once on Junkertown in the first point, and he ended up kicking me into the stables, and I got stuck there, and he just kept kicking me until I died. That was actually kind of funny. But with that being said, though, I feel Zen is in a very weak spot. I don't think he's really worth picking up. I don't think he's really worth trying to learn right now. And I don't see him. I think Zen kind of needs a rework. I don't think he fits into the Overwatch 2 world very well in his current state. So Zen is getting a D for me. I don't recommend him at all right now. So Anna is in an interesting state right now, because I feel like Anna has always been in the S tier, like always, up until season 2. Actually, up until season 1. I feel like Kiriko has kind of made her into a tough spot, right? So like, if you're going up against an enemy Roadhog, a lot of times as a support player, I hear go Anna. And the problem I have with that is that's an old way of thinking. Now, if the enemy team is running Roadhog, but they're not running Kiriko, then I agree with that sentiment. You can anti-Roadhog, you can sleep him, and Roadhog gets punished just like he used to back in Overwatch 1. And at that point, you're stupid to run Roadhog. Assuming the Ana is punishing you and doing what she needs to be doing, you know. However, when they're running Kiriko, it's not so cut and dry anymore. If you're a god tier sleep dart expert on Ana, she still is S tier. However, and I am not a god tier sleep accuracy with that sleep dart. That's actually something I would like to get better at, because I usually give up Ana to a buddy of mine that I'll occasionally duo with, so I usually play more of the off support role. But with that being said, her nano is still really strong, and I balance her somewhere between A and B, honestly. It's tough because, like, with Doomfist being meta, it's nice to see a sleep dart going into a Doomfist. It could be nice against a Hammond, but you don't see many Hammonds anymore. Hammond's in a kind of a rough spot too, and I hear he might be getting reworked soon as well. Which, frankly, I'm not really sure what they would do for Hammond, but kind of curious to see what that might entail. But going back to Ana, I think I put her into the A tier. And I'm kind of struggling between A and B for her. But I think if you really know what you're doing on Ana and you're really accurate with her, I think she can be very strong. And last but not least, we have Baptiste. I like Baptiste. He's got really good mobility with the jump. I find, unless I'm going up against a really good hit scan, if I jump and if I'm by a place where I can get to high ground, I oftentimes find that I'm safe. However, if I'm going up against a really good Ashe, Cassidy, or Widow, specifically those three, I find that the jump puts me into trouble. So it kind of depends. He's got good mobility. I wouldn't say it's great. However, he does have some other good abilities. That lamp is still pretty strong. And his shift ability I find to be very strong if you use it correctly. So when you use his shift, it gives you an instant 100 HP back. So assuming you're not doing it prematurely and say you get dove by like a Tracer or a Genji or something and they get you down to half and then you shift, you're back to full health again. Now at that point, it's how good of a hit scan player are you? Because that's what he is for damage, for defending yourself. And then if you get low again, you can throw your lamp down and all of a sudden now they've got a lamp that they got to kill while you can keep shooting them and hopefully your team peels for you. So I find BAP to be pretty good. I want to, BAP is honestly between A and B tier for me too. But I think I'm going to put BAP in the B tier. I do find him to be debatable between A and B, but I don't want to put too many heroes into the A tier. Now I want to have at least one hero in S tier, and I think what I'm going to do, in terms of the S tier pick, because there are a lot of Roadhogs floating around, I find that it's Doomfist, Roadhog, and Orisa are like the three tanks that get played the absolute most. And because of that, almost all of them benefit from having a Kiriko. So I'm going to put Kiriko in S tier. And I only say Kiriko because all of those tanks benefit from having a cleanse on their side. Because a lot of people will still default to, oh, I'll play Ana, I'll anti them, the team will kill them, and boom, all our problems are solved. Well, if you're good at cleansing the antis, good at cleansing sleeps, and any other kind of debuff coming their way, Kiriko is the hero to be. So, that's my list. Kiriko S tier, Lucio, Mercy, Anna A tier, Moira, Brig, Bap B tier, and Zen all the way at the bottom. So let me know what you guys think of that. You think I'm wrong? You think I'm right? I don't know. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open to feedback on that. I think just about every support minus Zen is very playable in most team comps, but there are definitely right and wrong picks depending on circumstances that can vary game to game. And that's why I've got a lot of heroes kind of clumped up between A and B. And it's actually kind of tough for me to even put Kiriko at S, but I think if you can learn to play her right, she's the support to be right now. So, I'm going to start hunting for VOD reviews either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll start putting out some new VOD reviews this week. I'm going to try to not do as much Lucio this week. I'll probably find one Lucio VOD to review, though, just because I like VOD reviewing Lucio. But I'd like to try to find a Brig VOD review. I'd like to try to do another BAP and Mercy, because I haven't really done those three too much. So if anybody watching has a good VOD review for those three heroes, I'm putting the call out. Any subs that want another VOD review coming their way, I don't mind doing multiples for somebody. But if I do a multiple for you, point me out to the video I did for you, because I might want to re-review it just to see if I spotted any bad habits there and if you cleaned any of them up or not. And that's only assuming I'm VOD reviewing the same hero for you. If it's not the same hero, you can still point me out to the video, but it won't be as applicable, obviously. But yeah, so I'm putting the call out for that. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.